The morning rush at Café Haven was relentless. The air buzzed with the aroma of roasted beans, clinking cups, and murmured conversations. Lila, a young barista with tired eyes and a hopeful heart, wiped her hands on her apron and glanced at the clock. Almost 8 a.m., the time when office workers poured in like a tide. She'd been working double shifts for months, saving every penny to pay for her younger brother's college tuition. Dreams of her own had taken a backseat long ago. "Lila, table 7's waiting," called Marcy, her coworker. Lila turned, and froze. At table 7 sat a man in a crisp navy suit, his presence commanding yet calm. His sharp jawline, tousled hair, and focused eyes made him look like he belonged in a magazine, not this small-town cafe. He held a phone in one hand, but his gaze occasionally lifted toward the window, lost in thought. Something about him tugged at Lila's heart. She couldn't explain it, but there was something familiar. She approached, forcing a polite smile. "Good morning, sir. What can I get for you?" He looked up, and for a moment, the world stopped. Those eyes, deep brown, with a hint of gold around the edges. Eyes that once made her laugh as a child. Eyes she'd never forgotten. "Just a black coffee," he said softly, his tone calm but curious. "And maybe one of those cinnamon muffins." Her heart skipped. He didn't recognize me. "Of course," she replied, quickly turning away before he could see her trembling hands. As she worked behind the counter, her mind flooded with memories of Ethan Rivers, the boy who used to live next door. The boy who carved their initials into an oak tree before leaving town without saying goodbye. Could this man be him? It had been over 15 years. The Ethan she knew had dreams of building things, fixing broken toys and sketching inventions in his notebook. She'd heard whispers years ago, rumors of a tech billionaire named Ethan Rivers, but she never imagined their paths would cross again. She carried the tray to his table. "Here you go. 1 black coffee and a cinnamon muffin." He smiled faintly. "Thank you, Lila." Her heart nearly stopped. "You remember me?" He nodded slowly, setting his cup down. "How could I forget?" For a moment, silence lingered between them, thick with the weight of time. "I didn't think I'd ever see you again," he said. "You disappeared after high school." Lila laughed weakly. "You left first." He winced, a flicker of guilt crossing his face. "My family had to move suddenly. My father's business collapsed, and we had nothing. I didn't even get to say goodbye." She looked away, pretending to focus on the coffee cups. Life happens, but inside, her heart whispered the truth. She had never really stopped thinking about him. Ethan leaned forward slightly. "You still live here?" "Yes," she said. "I work here, actually. Just trying to keep things afloat." He studied her face, his expression unreadable. "You deserve more than this place, Lila." She frowned. "And what do I deserve, exactly?" His lips curved into a half smile. "Maybe a second chance." Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, then stood abruptly. "I have to go, but I'll be back tomorrow." Same table. Lila watched him leave, her heart pounding as the door chimed shut behind him. She didn't know it yet, but Ethan Rivers hadn't just come back for coffee. He'd come back for her. The next morning, Café Haven felt different. Lila tried to convince herself it was just another day, same routine, same faces, same tired smile, but deep inside, her heartbeat refused to slow down. Every time the door chimed, she found herself looking up, expecting to see him. But an hour passed, then two. No sign of Ethan. "Girl, you okay?" Marcy asked, leaning over the counter. "You've been wiping that same cup for 10 minutes. Lila laughed awkwardly. "Just thinking about the hot guy from yesterday." Marcy teased with a grin. "Tall, rich, mysterious." "Yeah, I noticed. He looked at you like you were the last drop of water in a desert." Lila rolled her eyes. "He's just someone from my past." Marcy raised a brow. "Your past better come back soon, 'cause you're about to break that cup." Before Lila could reply, the doorbell jingled, and there he was. Ethan Rivers, perfectly pressed navy suit, eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses, and that same air of quiet authority that made everyone turn when he walked in. But when his gaze found Lila, the tension in her chest melted into something warm and familiar. "Morning," he said, taking off his glasses and giving her a gentle smile. "Same table." She nodded before she could even speak. When she brought his coffee, he surprised her by sliding a small velvet box across the table. Her heart skipped. "What's this?" "Just a memory," he said softly. She hesitated, then opened it, and gasped. Inside lay a delicate silver bracelet, with a tiny oak leaf charm. She brushed her fingers over it, her voice barely above a whisper. You remembered the tree. He smiled faintly. I went there yesterday. Our initials are still carved into it, though the bark's grown around them. I guess some things don't fade. Lila blinked back tears. You really came back for a business deal. I came for that, he said honestly, but I stayed for something else. Her breath caught. Ethan. He leaned forward, eyes searching hers. I've built companies, traveled the world, signed contracts worth millions. But none of it ever felt like home. You did. Lila's throat tightened. That was a long time ago. Maybe, he said softly, but I never stopped wondering what happened to the girl who used to fix my broken toy cars and tell me I could build anything. Her lips curved into a sad smile. That girl grew up, learned that dreams cost money. And that's why I'm here, he said. To make sure yours don't die. She frowned slightly. What are you talking about? I did some research, Ethan admitted. You've been working double shifts to send your brother to college. You always wanted your own bakery. You even designed a logo, Lila's Oven, right? Lila blinked. How do you know about that? He smiled sheepishly. You still use the same sketchbook. You left it on the counter yesterday when you served me. I couldn't help but peek. Her cheeks flushed. That's private, Ethan. I know, he said gently. But it reminded me who you are, someone who never stopped caring for others. Someone who deserves more than struggling every day. Her voice trembled. You can't just walk back into my life and fix everything with money. He didn't flinch. Then let me fix it with time. She looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, saw past the billionaire image. Beneath the expensive suit and polished charm, she saw the boy she once loved, stubborn, hopeful, and still carrying the same warmth in his eyes. Give me a chance, he said softly. To make it right. A new beginning. Over the next few days, Ethan kept his word. He came by every morning, always at table 7. Sometimes they talked for hours, sometimes just shared quiet coffee moments as the world bustled around them. Lila tried to keep her guard up, but each day, it crumbled a little more. He told her about his journey, how his family lost everything when his father's business collapsed. How he worked nights through college, developed a software that changed his life, and built Rivers Tech, now one of the fastest growing tech companies in the world. But none of it mattered, he confessed one morning, because I had no one to share it with. Lila smiled faintly. You had everything, Ethan. Fame, fortune. I had noise, he corrected softly. Not peace. Her chest ached at his words. She wanted to tell him how lonely she'd been too, how she'd buried her own dreams to take care of everyone else, but she couldn't. Not yet. One rainy afternoon, he showed up holding a rolled-up set of blueprints. What's that? She asked. A proposal, he said. Not the romantic kind, at least, not yet. Her heart gave a dangerous flutter. Ethan, just listen. He spread the papers across the table. This town doesn't have a modern bakery. You've got the talent, I've got the resources. We'll open a cafe together, your recipes, your name. I'll handle the investment. Lila stared at him. You can't be serious. Dead serious, he said. Think about it, Lila's Haven. A cozy bakery with real stories behind every flavor. She bit her lip. Why are you doing this? His answer was simple. Because you once believed in me when I had nothing. It's my turn. For days, she wrestled with the idea. Pride battled with longing. Could she accept his help without feeling like a charity case? Could she trust him again after all these years? One night, she found herself standing under the old oak tree, the one that had witnessed their childhood promises. The wind whispered through the leaves like old memories. And she realized something. He wasn't just offering her money. He was offering her hope. 7 Oaks Café. A month later, the small abandoned shop on Willow Street had transformed into something magical. Wooden beams, golden lights, soft music, and the smell of fresh pastries filled the air. On the front sign, carved into warm oak wood, were the words 7 Oaks Café. Lila had protested the name at first. Why not Lila's Haven like you said? Ethan had smiled. Because we met again at table 7. And because the oak tree still stands. Opening day drew half the town. People smiled, laughed, took photos, but Lila barely noticed them. All she could see was Ethan, standing at the counter, watching her with that same quiet pride that once made her believe she could do anything. When the last customer left, she turned to him, eyes shimmering. You really did all this for me? He stepped closer. For us. Her voice cracked. I don't know what to say. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. Say you'll stay. That we won't lose each other again. She hesitated. Ethan, your world and mine, they're different. Maybe, he said softly. But love doesn't care about worlds. She laughed weakly, tears glistening. You always were stubborn. He grinned. You loved that about me. And then, under the warm cafe lights, he kissed her, gently, like a promise. A twist of fate, but love stories rarely unfold without trials. 2 weeks later, Lila arrived at the cafe to find reporters outside, cameras flashing. Ms. Carter, is it true you're dating Ethan Rivers? Are you using him for his money? Did he buy you this cafe as a publicity stunt? Lila froze. What? No, that's not true. Inside, Ethan was already there, arguing with a man in a suit, his assistant, probably. Ethan, this story's all over the news, the assistant said. Investors are questioning your decisions. You need to make a statement. I'm not making a statement, Ethan snapped. This is my personal life. Lila's voice trembled. Your company's in trouble because of me. He turned instantly. No, don't ever think that, but she saw the strain in his eyes, the weight of headlines and expectations. That night, she sat alone in the cafe, staring at the empty chairs. Maybe she'd been foolish to think a billionaire and a barista could live the same story twice. When Ethan arrived, she spoke before he could. Maybe you should go back to your world, Ethan. Before mine ruins yours. He stared at her, stunned. You can't mean that. I do, she whispered, though her heart screamed otherwise. You have responsibilities, a company, people depending on you. He stepped closer, voice breaking. And what about me? Who do I depend on, Lila? She turned away, tears spilling. You'll be fine without me. You always were. He stood there for a moment, silent. Then, quietly, he said, I wasn't fine for 15 years. And I won't be now. He left. Love's return. Days passed. The cafe stayed open, but laughter didn't sound the same. Lila worked mechanically, the oak charm on her bracelet reminding her of what she'd lost again. Then, one morning, Marcy ran in breathless. Lila, turn on the TV. On the screen was Ethan Rivers, standing at a press conference. Reporters fired questions, but he spoke clearly, his voice steady. I'm not stepping down. And no, this cafe wasn't a publicity stunt. It's a dream I share with someone I love. Sometimes, the smartest investment isn't in technology, it's in people. In her. Lila's heart stopped. Minutes later, the cafe door swung open, and there he was, drenched from the rain, eyes locked on hers. You always said love needed proof, he said softly. Here's mine. She ran to him, tears and laughter colliding. You idiot, you didn't have to do that. He grinned. Too late now. And before she could reply, he kissed her, this time fiercely, without hesitation, without fear. Forever, under the oak. Months later, the cafe flourished. Tourists came not just for the pastries, but for the story, the barista who served coffee to a stranger, and found her lost love instead. On their 1-year anniversary, Ethan took her back to the oak tree. Fireflies glowed, and a soft breeze rustled the leaves. He knelt down, holding a simple ring, silver, with an oak leaf engraving. Lila Carter, he said, voice trembling, you were my first love, my last regret, and my forever home. Will you marry me? Tears rolled down her cheeks. Yes, Ethan Rivers, 1,000 times yes. And beneath the same oak that had witnessed their childhood promise, they sealed a new one, stronger, truer, and timeless. Because sometimes, life brings people back not by chance, but by destiny.